Okay, I'm gonna need to keep this a short one because my camera does not have much battery left. I forgot to charge the battery. But last night I watched the roast of Kevin Hart on Netflix. I had heard about this roast a little while ago on. I heard Shane Gillis talk about it on Joe Rogan's podcast. I didn't know it was happening. That was the first time that I heard about it. I really liked the Tom Brady roast. I thought the jokes were particularly edgy in comparison to what I'm used to hearing in this day and age. And it was really interesting to hear. Really cool to see that that ambitious of a level of comedy at this time. And so this roast was hosted by Shane Gillis, who's one of the biggest comedians in the world right now. He was slated to be a regular on SNL back in 2018 time. I might be wrong about the year. But then he was summarily dismissed from the running because he did an Asian accent on a podcast. And it's funny, I think the clip in context, he wasn't even making fun of Asians. I think he was pretending to be somebody who was racist to Asians and doing that voice. But the voice alone got him canceled. But interestingly enough, he has risen to success away from mainstream media by his comedy alone. So it's been really cool to see. But anyway, so he hosts this roast of Kevin Hart, and they really get into it. In this roast, they talk about, the obvious ones are his height, and they also make a lot of jabs at his movies and the success rates of it, and whether or not the questionableness of the funniness of the movies. But then they get into more dicey topics like his cheating scandals, the allegations of him being at the Diddy party. They talk about it all. His father, how he was a crackhead, and they really don't hold back. And it's interesting to see people be that straight up and honest, and regardless of what the subject matter is, seeing people be that brutally honest about something, you don't see that every day. And then finding a way to make that brutal honesty funny and interesting and compelling. I just love that about comedy, how it's such a high level form of communication. The ability to be able to cause somebody to see your perspective, but then also sort of empathize with your perspective, because if you're truly laughing at something, that's not something that you can front. That's just a gut. That's a visceral feeling, and that only happens when the comedian is able to craft their idea in such a way that causes you to go, huh, yeah, I guess that's true. And it's I realized as I was watching it that comedy today is so it's got his hands tied, because there is this hesitation to tell a joke that could potentially be offensive because you don't want to hurt feelings and all the rest. But in a setting like this, at a comedic roast, where the point is to tell brutally honest jokes, you can get past that whole barrier because you know what you're getting. And I think once you know what you're getting, and once the audience and the comedian all agree to the same set of rules, these are jokes, we're gonna say some uncomfortable stuff, but the whole point of this thing is to tell comedic jokes about tricky subjects, tricky topics, you can really start to appreciate the mastery in the art of communicate, or the art of comedy, in the way that it uses communication and language. It's just, I don't know. We appreciate musicians and rap artists and speakers, orators, all for similar reasons, I think, and that is their ability to communicate an idea, whether it's in the form of music or a speech or whatever. They're communicating something. I don't think comedy is any different in that. Even if the idea is dumb, like if it's a dumb idea, it's still an idea. How do I make that idea, that dumb idea, compelling and interesting? And so, you know, fail or succeed, I'm like really interested in seeing like how comedians work through that process of like, this is a really tricky topic to balance. How do I get the audience to be interested enough to see my perspective, but also find a way to make them laugh at what I'm saying and not lose them along the way? And if I do lose them, how do I reel them back in? Like it's a crazy skill to be able to elicit that kind of reaction, and it's a balance of truth and satire and the comedian's own style and the physicality. Like all of it is, it's super interesting, super fascinating to watch. And then also seeing the different styles of comedians. You got storytellers, you got observational comedy, you've got one line, like all different kinds of styles and genres. And this roast was particularly interesting because it's like what would I compare it to? It's like comedy sprints, like you're not, like, how can I get to the punchline as quickly and as quickly as I possibly can, regardless of what mayhem I create along my way there? How do I get straight to that point? And then, man, what was my other thought earlier? Oh, I realized that it's kind of like, it's similar to the way that some people get turned off by like fighting and MMA. Getting offended by a joke, I think, is similar to that feeling, because before you can truly appreciate martial arts, the violence. Okay, my camera died, but picking up from my last thought was that in the same way, or in a similar way, that people, casual consumers of like MMA or the UFC, for example, might be turned off at the prospect of MMA because of the violence aspect of it, because there's blood, because people get hurt. That makes people feel squeamish, and some people can't even handle it, and so they just forego watching fighting altogether. And when they do that, I think they're missing out on the beauty of fighting, the art part of the martial arts. There are some incredibly clean and technical strikers and grapplers, and they're just fascinating to watch. Like seeing guys like Mighty Mouse and Israel Adesanya and Eddie Amasolo, and these fighters that are so technically clean. I think that transcends the violence aspect of it, and it just makes it super compelling to look at. But you would never know that if you said, hey, it's too violent for me, I don't want to see blood, I don't want to see bones getting broken, I don't want to see people getting knocked out. You would be robbing yourself of the opportunity to see the martial arts on display. And so I think with comedy, if your mindset is, that joke offends me, that's too far, to this or to that, then you're letting your feelings get in the way of the art. And, that's fine, but, it's fine to have an emotional reaction to something, but if you're looking to enjoy comedy, I think you have to look at it as the art of comedy, not like just how is this thing making me feel, and then deciding that it's good or no good in that moment. I don't know if I'm wording that correctly, but anyway, it's comedy is just a really interesting form of communication to me, and seeing people execute it at the highest levels and make me crack up at the same time is really cool and really interesting. All right, that's it. Kevin Hart roast, Netflix, pretty cool, pretty funny. Check it out.